news, local politics, saving money and investing, all this and more right here on USALA Radio. Your voice, your radio.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to USALA Media. This is David Torres, your host, and you're on An Hour with Dave. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in again. Today we have a very special guest on An Hour with Dave, a good friend, Mike Mia, and Mike has like a world of knowledge inside politics, outside politics, local, and our board. Mike?
David, good to see you again. I'm happy to be in your company, okay? Because, I just remember 2 years ago the debacle we went through in reapportioning the state of Pennsylvania, days before the petitions had to be filed. And I'm so happy that you were a candidate, and I'm sorry we couldn't do much more for you because the district is much different than Brendan Boyle knows. Okay? Brendan Boyle actually lives next door to me, David. Okay? Wow. The unfortunate thing is there's so many opportunities up there that this community should have too. Okay? And, I've tried to propose things with the school district of Philadelphia, but I'm getting nowhere with them because I'm very much in favor of charter schools. Okay? And I've even tried to propose something where we do usable space. We get people to invest in them. And then we build like 4 charter schools, and then over the next 4 years, we build more, okay? Or we build more buildings that they can move from their existing building. But hell, the whole thing with the school district, with the asbestos issue, is a disgrace, okay? And there should be a lot of people that are embarrassed by it.
Oh, should be embarrassed by it, but we got to remember, some of them buildings have been up for a lot of years. Oh. Everybody who's involved in them buildings already know what's in them.
Right.
There's no reason why it should be catching anybody by surprise. The asbestos, the issues, but the school system it's in trouble. I mean, I love the idea of the charter schools myself.
Right.
I think that they came at the right time. They're working at the right time. We have issues with public school systems. And I'm not knocking the public school system because I'm a product of the public school system. And I think that changes, they were not keeping up so much with the changes of what's going on. We eliminated a lot of stuff from public schools, trainings. Not everybody's college material,
Right.
Okay? But, we used to have a lot of trainings there.
Right.
Mechanics, electrical, carpentry. None of that's there anymore.
But it's so divisive now that unless somebody's going to get these skills to take care of their parents' house while they're growing up or to take care of their own houses, the trade unions in this town are very, very restrictive, okay? And I think everybody should know how to do basic electricity, okay? To change an outlet or change a switch, okay? Basic things. And I guess I'm behind the times.
Well, but charter schools don't. They're offering a great deal, and they're doing great when it comes to educating kids, our kids. But they still don't offer electrical, carpentry, plumbing, mechanics.
Well, David, I'm of the belief that you have to identify these things. And when I say I live up in the far northeast, and the Swenson Skill Center is up there on Red Line Road, just east of the boulevard, okay? And it's a fantastic school, and one guy I went to high school with was a teacher there, okay? But you can get those skills, but there's not enough, David,
Yeah.
okay? Because, as you said, I'm not sure everybody's college material, okay? And really, the country's in so much debt. And the promises we're going to forgive all the college debt. Understand this. I don't think any of these kids want their professors to work for nothing.
No, not one for nothing, but I mean, and I grant you, because I know quite a few teachers personally that are in the public school system, and we grew up together, and I got to tell you, not one of them went in to become rich.
Oh, yeah.
They really had a heart, and they really wanted to help mold students. I just think that the public school system, it's caught in a big circle. You know, they're the teachers on one side, the cost of things on the other. It's just a whole big wish where the kids themselves are the one paying the price for everything. But we abandon, a lot of schools have abandoned the fundamentals of, identifying kids who are not going to be. Because when I went to college, I was good with my hands. And my shop teacher said, if you're not going to go to college, you should consider a trade
Right.
because you're very good at it. It's natural to you. And we're not getting that. I don't believe we're getting that.
Well, but they want to profess that everybody's college material. As long as you can come out with JOB, that's the
Yeah.
only thing that's important, whether or not they're going to come out and earn a living.
Well, and I always say, perfect example. All right, everybody's college materials, and when the toilet clogs up, there going to be any plumbers around?
Right. Well, my wife really wish I was a plumber, to tell you the truth. So, yeah. But she's a two-time. She lost twice. She didn't like politicians, and she didn't like lawyers.
Oh, so
I
she
was
got a
both.
double whammy.
She got a double whammy. Okay? So,
Do you think that the public school system can actually bounce back?
well, but I think you have to be creative. When I say creative, and I've tried to do this because I've tried to make conversation with people about getting a system whereby to me, if I had my dream, we'd probably build 8 or 10 buildings around the city and then use those buildings as interim space for people as we rehab their original building. Okay, so that, at the end of the day, somebody's going to have to buy these buildings. And I don't think it's, really the school district, when they had the asbestos problem this year, was actually using closed charter schools as facilities for themselves. Okay, because some of these buildings were very, very nice. And I think that they get the first dibs on them if they close. So,
I mean, I would like to see, because I really, I like the idea of charter schools. Like I said, I think that public schools still have a tremendous role to play in the school system itself, the education of the kids. My concern is that somebody has to sit down and say, where do we miss a space? Where do we miss a step here?
right.
What is it going to take to get it back?
Well, but it's funny. Last year, when I don't know what reason, I went to a charter school at the Philadelphia Bar Association meeting. And this was being a charter thing put on by the school district of Philadelphia. And I could tell all the bureaucrats they're not for charter schools
No.
because they're all for legacy costs. Well, and their complaint is, well, charter schools don't have legacy costs. That's because they pay their bills as they go along.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've got a whole system where they protect themselves. I don't know. It's depressing, but then again, I live in the far Northeast, and we have fantastic charter schools up there.
Well, and there's charter schools down here,
Yeah.
Pan America, which I believe is on America, and I want to say Somerset, excellent school. They are excellent charter schools around, and the programs that are looking at like Esperanza and all those that really have their charter schools and really have things going on. They have some good schools out here in the charter schools
Right.
down here. The ones but the problem is, like I say, I see that we need just a little bit more to get things going because everybody's not going to be college material. Times are changing. We buy a phone today.
Right.
Next year, that phone's obsolete. You buy a laptop today. Next year, the laptop's obsolete. But there's got to be people around to fix them.
Right.
There's got to be people on the repairs. You do electrical work. Next 2 years, there's changes in the plans. There's changing the way the city wants. How high the plugs have to be from the floor. But you still need an electrician.
Right.
Everybody can't be the big brains, and there's got to be some workers that know how to do it. And let's face it, electrician is not a chump job.
No.
You can make decent money at it. You decent money as being a plumber. Roofers that I know make good money, but we're losing the trades. And I think that maybe we need to looking at how do we get the unions, roofing unions, electrical unions, etc., to think, okay, you have to protect your cluster of your people. How do we get you to help us with once we identify the guy who wants to be an electrician, wants to be a plumber, wants to be a carpenter?
Well, but the whole process about apprenticeship and going through that is very complicated.
Yes.
Okay, because I've tried to help people who've decided that they were not college material, but that would still like to be able to provide for their family, okay, and with a job, whether or not it's as a plumber or as an electrician or a glacier or as a drywall person. These are not really complicated jobs, okay, and some of them.
But they do require some skills.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know guys who say that they're good plaster people, and it doesn't turn out to be that way.
Oh, yeah.
good people doing sheetrock work doesn't turn out to be that way. So.
Hey, David, believe it or not, I serve on the Board of City Trust, okay, and we just rehabbed the old Aramark Tower into the Jefferson Tower. We rehabbed that place. Aramark basically held us up and wouldn't tell us whether or not they'd renew the lease. They moved to 24th and Market and came up 50,000 square feet short. Okay, and when the Aramark CEO got fired, I was not upset. Okay, because he walked away with $8 or $10 million.
Whoa.
Yeah. But then the same thing can be said about Boeing. With all the issues they have with 357, I think that guy walked away with $52 million.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, to tell you the truth, David.
Well, I mean, this is all the part, because when everybody walks away with the deep pockets like this, the affected ones are usually the people at the lower end of the pole.
Oh yeah.
Not usually all the time. And with the school system, the affected ones will wind up being the kids.
Right.
Because I know some brilliant kids out there, and I know kids that I deal with. I have my bike program. I have things that I'm doing with the kids. This year I got a lot that I'm working on that I plan on doing with the kids in the community and showing them teamwork. I must start a Skelsey tournament this year.
Okay.
And I'm teaching kids, and the reason for it is to bring them together. As a group, because if we can get a group here and a group in South Philadelphia and a group in Northeast, and you start to show them, it's a whole different story.
Well, David, it's being involved in your kids' lives, okay? And anybody who's had kids, I used to coach my kids. Now, my wife was much the swimmer, and they were both swimmers. I'm not a floater, okay? I'm more of a sinker. So, but I coached I coached baseball. I got involved. My son went to LaSalle High School, and he was playing football as a freshman and was 295 pounds. So his coach told him, you got to get in shape. He gave himself a diet, lost 100 pounds, okay? Unfortunately, in the meantime, I was elected president of Touchdown Club, okay? But in the interim, during that spring year of his sophomore year, he made an all-state rugby team.
Wow.
Okay, and we came back, and to me, rugby's a simple sport. Okay, and fortunately, when he came back, LaSalle High School had a great rugby program. Okay, but they played.
Hold that thought. We're gonna be going into a commercial for a few minutes, but again, don't disappear. Grab your snacks, because we're gonna be back with Mike, and we're gonna talk about some more issues here that are close to us.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends. They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Welcome back, everyone. I told you this was going to be a great day. We got Mike Mia here, and he has a world of knowledge that we can just tap off of him and learn off of him. Mike, we were talking when we went on break about the charter schools and what we need to do between charter schools, public schools, and trainings. We know we have a lot of young kids, 18 to say 30. And I say kids because at our age, they're kids. Who want to support, who want to do things. But there's a lot happening in this immediate community,
Right.
but there's no jobs.
Well,
That's worrying me because we're building all these houses. Where are people going to get jobs from?
Well, it's funny. Today I was speaking to somebody I was interested, Corey Scott, who's a fine young African-American contractor. And he's now doing work through some of the city things. And I'm happy to introduce you to Corey. Okay, so there've got to be opportunities for people. People just want to go. And David, really on these jobs, the kids just have to learn to show up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first thing. But that's the same thing with school. Show up to learn, okay? And make yourself available to know what's going on. Okay,
Yeah, well, because I look at it, and now even in the lower end here of North Philadelphia, of course, Spring Garden Street heading north to Lehigh, to Allegheny. When you're coming up Fifth Street, it's a whole world of change. You hit Berks, you hit Norris, and then it's almost like night and day. Night and day, with all the new constructions, America Street, the money, the investments. But you see a lot going on. What's going to happen with jobs? Are we going to be able to bring businesses down here? What's the future of what's happening? Because you can bring apartment buildings all over the place, but then they're going to be apartment buildings going to be rented to people who have decent jobs. Because them houses they're building on Girard Avenue are not Section 8 houses. Them houses they're building on 7th Street and 3rd Street and 5th Street, those are not, $600 apartments.
well,
These are
no.
going to be, some of them apartments like on 5th Street, Berks, they're like $1,800.
Well, see, that's the whole thing with some of these projects and learning how to do the tax abatements. Because the stuff that went on in Center City was basically for developers to come in and they'd build these monstrosities and leave and sell them before. Okay? Because, and I'm going to tell you, it's all through Center City. When you're talking about 10-year tax abatement, they're salivating at that thing.
Sure. But my concern with this is that you're going in and, now the America Street is going to be opened up and they're already almost at a block away from Lehigh.
Right.
And actually past Lehigh, just working on the center of it. And it keeps going. If they open it up, they're going to probably open up all the way to maybe Allegheny. And what's going to happen to the community there?
David, I'm going to introduce you to a guy named Mark Cumberland. He's a real estate guy, has a real estate school. And he saw the whole thing he was down. He was mad because somebody hadn't notified him. That's Tom McCann from the URC that he'd passed away. Well, he was amazed about how the changes have occurred up to Allegheny Avenue and even north of that, okay? And these have to be looked as opportunities.
Opportunities, and we have to be careful because For example, on Fifth and Lehigh, just starting off Fifth and Lehigh, headed up towards Allegheny, a couple blocks before Allegheny, is what's called the Golden Block, the Bloco de Oro. All right, all this is going to be going on around it. What's going to happen to that? That's supposedly the little community for the Latino business people in that little area, that 2-3 block area. All right, it's a little rundown now.
Well,
Okay,
but Fifth Street
what
has been
happens
that
to it?
way for a long time.
Well, what's going to happen? Because if that's gone,
Right.
the community is gone. There's nothing there anymore. There's certain things that I'm fighting for, that I'm thinking about, that I want. I'm screaming and shouting about, is that I want to see a Latino-based community where we have our own college, where I want to find investors to bring in and start a college, a Latino-based college, because we have. If you look at the college rate now going in, we have the lowest number of people going into college. We have, at one point, we had the largest number of dropouts in college.
Well, it's funny you bring that up today, because the mayor is talking about community college, okay, and that they're trying to make it tuition free, which is a wonderful thing. But I'm not sure where the money's coming from, okay? So, but they say the city's going to invest $18 million a year for 5 years. I'm not sure what that really brings, David, at the end of the day.
Right.
Okay? And the whole thing, all their studies, and my biggest gripe is people are taking up professions that they can't come out with a job.
Exactly.
Okay? Because unless your father or grandfather owns a sports team, don't talk to me about sports management. Okay? Because, it's all an inside game. Okay? And, but it'll be interesting. But you may not know this. I've gone down and spoke to Mayor Street at his in his classes at Temple University, and I've been there with Bob Brady a couple times, simply because the nastiness of politics doesn't have to be that way, okay? But it's gotten to be desperate and chaotic. So,
Oh, politics itself. I mean, you obviously know that I'm a candidate this year, also for 2nd Congressional District. But that set aside, I'm making doors open, hopefully, by being the first Latino to run for Congress in the history of Philadelphia. But my thing is that I want to see open doors. I want to open doors and see things come into the community, not just to say it's for Latinos, but like our own college, our own training centers, so that we can fight for bigger jobs and better opportunities, business training fronts. None of it's here, and it hurts me to see that we can't get certain things. We got women who are abused in our community, and we don't really have a good shelter system for them.
well,
It's
unfortunately,
all these little things that other communities have, I want to see realistically in our community.
well, David, you and I spoke about the whole job training thing, and there's a thing on Girard Avenue called the Berrien Institute, and I think OIC's involved in it, and I'd really like to see many people get involved there. I actually introduced the executive director of the Berrien Institute to Heather Wathington, who's the new president at Girard College, simply because, and at one point, I got a little delusional. I tried to offer them space when they had those closing of those schools. The unfortunate thing is they couldn't tell me how many students and how long they need the space.
Right.
So it's not like, we're trying to be good neighbors is all I can say.
Yeah.
So
No, and I believe, because I tell you one thing, I love the Northeast. I love the people in South Philadelphia, Northeast Philadelphia. When I ran, I had, and on the Republican ticket, people always try to give you a stigma. And I'm going to tell you, there was so much love that was shown to me in the Northeast that there's no way that people are going to tell me that the Northeast is just not playing fair, because it just isn't true. It just isn't true. They never they never hesitated when when you asked me and I became a candidate. It was all open arms.
Hey,
There was
David,
no.
for you, I went out and got 26 signatures. Okay, so, I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but for me to go door to door, okay, is not easy. It wasn't easy then, and it's not easy now. Okay, but you're a wonderful person who wants to do good by his neighbors and do good by the community. And you're not looking at simply the Hispanic community or the Puerto Rican community. You're looking at the entire community.
Yes. Yeah, because we need, I mean, when we get into different topics and different issues that are happening in the community, this city, I love Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I love it. It's from the day I came to Philadelphia, I fell in love with it, and I never wanted to leave it because Philadelphia had so many factories. Or every other block we had. Remember when Edison, Stetson, you could walk from Stetson and you had the White Towers hamburgers, and then you had the T&L factory that was on 2nd and Allegheny. Then you had the suit factory that was on Broad Street. You come down 2nd Street, you have the chocolate factory, the candy factory, Simpkins box factory. You had so much work in this community, and it's gone. And that's a part of what I'm afraid of, and it's affecting every circle.
Right.
It's affecting Fishtown. It's affecting Broad Street. It's affecting the Northeast because there were a lot of jobs. I mean, you remember
Right,
the
but
jobs I'm
the
talking
unfortunate thing is, in many of these same areas, where the kids want to make money, they find it easier to peddle drugs than it is to get a job. Okay.
Well, it's hard for them to find the jobs. And then the kids that, they made a mistake, but you got a family man that made a mistake. Then he comes out and what?
But David, I know rich people whose kids have had issues, and some of them died because of overdoses. It's not really a strata thing because I know billionaires whose sons who have died because of it.
And that's why I'm saying that. That's why when you make reference, drug issues, it's all over the place. When you go down Kensington, you see the young girls that are out there and they're 15, 16 years. They're runaways. Now they're walking Kensington. They got involved in the wrong crowd. They're scared to go home. They don't know how to go. There's a lot of things happening in our community, and it affects everybody.
Right.
And we have to stand up. But again, that's part of one of my pet peeves now, is I'm trying to bring the community together. I'm going to push to bring the police side down. I'm going to push to bring the union side out. It's time that we just make a voice for the community. Because if the community doesn't stick up for itself, it's going to be walked over. I mean...
well, David, you just look at the community in South Philadelphia that they were going to have the safe injection site.
Yeah.
Okay, but all of a sudden that was just plopped down there. And how would you like it? I do a little zoning work. And I know a reference called NIMBY, not in my backyard. Okay, and I've talked to people, and some say, why isn't Mayor Kenny putting it next to his house?
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I question him there, and I have a drug and alcohol background. You know that. I lost my son. You also know that. And let me tell you, I can tell you, the safe houses are not the answer. They're not the answer. We need real treatment programs. We need to be understanding different cultures. And let me tell you, the drug addiction, it's a culture all in itself.
Well,
all in itself.
Understand this. Being on the Border City Trust, we're right we own the building at 11th and Market, okay? And it's wonderful, but that whole Filbert Street, which goes back behind our building, they're smoking pot and doing everything, and even if it was 2 nights ago, people were followed by people from 12th and Market to 8th and Walnut.
Yeah.
Okay, and they were on something. Not that anybody knows what they were on, but it's problematic.
It's problematic. It's an issue we got. And again, I think that it's the community, it's the churches that got to open their doors and come outside. It's the business owners that got to force and say, no, not in front of my place. But everybody's got to get involved. Everybody's got to get involved because parents know their kids are out there. Everybody knows those kids are out there.
But David,
we're going to go into one more commercial, and then we'll be back to continue our conversation.
Regresando a la escuela, sí tenía miedo. No sabía si iba a poder hacerlo. Una de las maestras que está ahí es la señora Araceli. Ella siempre tomaba su tiempo ayudándome a mí. 50% es entrando por la puerta, el otro 50% es haciendo el trabajo. Nunca es muy tarde para obtenerlo.
Encuentra clases gratis para adultos cerca de ti en completatudiploma.org.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, and she convinced me to continue my education. No one receives a diploma alone. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Well, welcome back, everyone, and thanks for hanging out with us. I'm here with my friend Mike Mia, and we've been talking a bit about charter schools. We went into what's happening with the opiate crisis, and then we'll talk about community involvement. Mike, one of the things that I was talking about with everyone in the community is we need to get more involved. Parents need to get more involved. Communities need to get more involved. Churches need to get more involved. Business people need to get more involved. We need to go out and take our streets back. There's a problem out here. There's a big problem out here. And some parents and people know whose kids are on these corners.
Well, there's no doubt about it.
People know whose kids are on the corner, and it's hard, you know. And it's and I can realistically look at some of these guys who are trying to get straight and do things right, and it's hard for them. It's hard.
Well, they're in neighborhoods or they're in a crowd. My brother went away for 28 days. Okay, and I've gone through Narconon twice. Okay, not that it was me, but I had an issue with my brother-in-law who was a paranoid schizophrenic, and people would feed him with booze. Okay, they thought it was funny to make him have his way. Okay, and it was not easy, but we went there. Okay, and we did it. And as I say, I've done it twice.
It's very scary, and I know that we have to get involved, and we need to get the political people involved. We need to get the community to say, listen, you know, these trying to sneak in safe houses, trying to cut back on programs. This is just not working anymore. It's just not working anymore. There's, you know, with sugar tax, okay, and I look at the sugar tax and say, okay, did anybody really check the if they dotted the I's and crossed the T's? Did they really use all that money from the sugar tax and what they're saying they were going to use it for?
Well, that's being very. Unfortunately, people rely on people are going to do the right thing. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily happen. Okay, because I've been screwed more times than anybody in the world, to tell you the truth. Okay, and you know.
I mean, we as a community need to make political leaders accountable, people who are in charge of these programs accountable. We need to get into what's the curriculum in the schools. Are they teaching the right things? I mean, there's so much that has to be done. And every school should have an advisory group.
Right.
Every school, I believe that sincerely, that every school should have an advisory school. And in our advisory schools, they should be at least one or two of that advisory must be a Christian-based pastor. A Christian-based pastor, because I think that part of the issue of what's happening in our streets and our community is when they've taken God out of it. It's my personal belief. I'm a hard Christian. I believe that sincerely. That some of the things that are affecting us in our community is the fact that we've kind of gotten away from, people get offended when you say God bless you.
You almost have to apologize for going to church every week.
Oh, I don't apologize.
No,
I'm
don't
never
either.
going to apologize for being Christian. I don't care who you are. You are never going to get that
Hey,
from me.
David, whether or not it's Christian, whether or not it's Lutheran, whether or not it's Episcopal, whether or not it's Jewish, they're all good faiths.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're trying to do right by people.
Yeah. And that's part of. I believe that was part of the downfall. And if we keep allowing Christianity to be attacked, the goodwill of people to be attacked, we're in trouble. I mean, we're not far. And in the last segment, we're going to talk about where this political arena is at this time. But I sincerely believe, that we have to take the community back. And how does that happen? It starts at home. It starts at home, where we tell our kids, no, you're not. When I was growing up, I wasn't the best kid in town. As a matter of fact, my aunt, God rest her soul, she passed away, and I remember sitting with my uncle a few years later, and he said, Dave, we prayed for everyone, but when your name came up on the prayer list, it took us a little longer.
Well, you may have been a challenging young man, okay? So, nothing, not that you were a bad one, but you might have had an independent streak in you.
I never forget him telling me that it took them just a little longer when my name came up. But, I really sincerely believe that we need to come together as a community and from the bottom up, start from home and take responsibility again, and then help our neighbors and take responsibility, then our blocks and take responsibility, and then start reaching out to, okay, who's the leaders in the community, and make them take responsibility, and work our way up all the way to City Hall, all the way to Washington, all the way to Harrisburg. We need to start making everybody accountable, because for some strange reason, people get in office and then they forget that when they went there, it's like, I'm going to do for you, for you, for you, for you, for you. And then
all of a sudden it's for them, for them, for them.
but it takes a lot. Like, going in and I've been speaking to pastors now, and I have some great pastors that are in our community. And then I got some that say, oh, I'm not going to get involved in that. You don't get involved in politics. Well, guess what? Not getting involved in politics is what's causing the problem. So it's part of the problem that we have now. Because you're closing them doors. You need to open them doors to the churches. You need to open them doors and come out. And this is all. This is all denominations, because everyone knows it's sheep, and everyone, these churches need to get out here and say, okay, the threat to the church and to the kids that are growing up in the church is the struggle that they have to deal with when they go to school, when they're standing on the corner, when you can't buy them $175 sneakers, $300 sneakers. But they see the guy on the corner who's a drug dealer, and his kids are all wearing $300 sneakers. So, that's a struggle. And in order for us to take that away, that lure, because it's a big lure, and in order to take that lure away, we got to have options, and we got to say, yeah, you know what, but remember, Daddy went to work for 45, 50 hours, and you got to eat, you got to sleep, and you got to have, your clothes on.
Well, to expect your elected officials to work as hard as anybody else who's raising a family should not be something unusual. Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah, it's scary. It's but we need to start. You know how they say a grassroots political race?
Right.
We need to start a grassroots responsibility-based awareness, and start at home, and have little meetings at home, and then meetings on the block, and then blah blah blah, and work your way up. Because if we don't start taking control, We're going to lose it. How much have we lost? Our kids are getting shot in the street. Then they turn around and say, well, take the guns away. Well, you ain't taking my gun away. Nobody that's died in these streets have died because I went to buy a gun and register a gun. You know who's buying this stuff. You know they're getting there. You know where it's coming from.
Yeah, but unfortunately, David, we all know that there's other people buying guns and selling them to people who are not entitled to guns.
Right.
Okay, and those should be taken care of. Okay, when I say taken care of, straw purchasers shouldn't exist because we should know who owns what guns.
Right. I mean, when I've had my guns and I buy my guns, they're bought legally. I go through I fill out a paper that's a background check. I purchase it. It's registered.
Mm.
You can look me up on a computer. Any police officer know that I have registered guns and what I have to protect my family, myself. But there's also the criminal end of it. They just had a shooting. What was it? 44th, 48th in West Philadelphia. Kids opened the door to a deli and just started shooting. You really think that them kids went where I went?
And David, that's in every community in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, unfortunately, particularly people going into delicatessens to try to, clean out the cash register. It's a shame, okay, because you have victims, including cops, getting shot, going to buy a novelty for their kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's. Let me tell you, that's. I was talking about that with Bill Heaney. I think it was last week or the week before last,
Right.
And we spoke about the police officers, and the dangers they go through every day. They get up. They don't know if they're going to see their kids, if they're going to make it home.
Unfortunately, I think the 1/10, the 1% make the rest of them look bad.
That's in everything.
Yeah.
That's in everything. You can look at the medical end of things, and there's good and bad doctors. You could look at the fire department. You got good and bad. You could look at but when it comes to the police and the fire, soldiers, they risk everything for peanuts.
Right.
For peanuts. I don't see where a police officer is getting paid enough. I just don't.
Well, the question is, what is enough? Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
I don't know, but how about if we start with a little more respect?
Well, I think the respect part, we could all chime in on that.
Respect for the fire department, because when you're running away, they're running in. When a police officer, you're running in one direction, he's running in the direction that they're shooting, and then later on you're going to be cursing them out. Hey, come on. Hey, so again, that goes back to a grassroots movement, bringing church leaders, community leaders, all involved in one shot, and work our way up so that we can make the right people responsible the right way. And it's not going to happen if we don't have our community involvement, and that's what's happening. I'm afraid that when I look at it from my point of view, the school system, the job trainings, businesses closing, we're relying on certain groups or certain organizations and certain politicians to do the right thing, and we just take it for granted.
Right.
And now you wind up with these situations, Kensington, the Kensington problem, the closing of buildings and schools, and not only here, Baltimore has issues, Chicago has issues, New York has issues. It's local, and surrounding, and it's its own epidemic.
Yes.
Its own epidemic, and I know that we're gonna come back and we're gonna go into my favorite topic with my friend here, and it's going to be where he feels, and you guys are going to get to understand the smarts that this guy has. We're going to get into what his opinion is, where we going to wind up being in this election, what's happening local, what's happening aboard, and we're gonna see. You're gonna see to understand and gonna understand what I think about this man. You ready for this one?
I'm ready for you.
You ready? You ready? Because that's the best part I was looking forward to.
Hello, my name is Sheila E. Armstrong, and I'm a candidate for the 2nd Congressional District. The reason why I'm the best candidate for the 2nd Congressional District is because I am on the ground doing the work. As your community congresswoman, I'm committed to go door by door and neighborhood to neighborhood to address the issues in our community. For instance, one issue that is concerning to me is the gun violence. The day is January the 16th, and the city of Philadelphia has 22 murders, which is more than a days in a year. This is not right. And you deserve to live in a city and a community that is safe. As your community congresswoman, I will work diligently to fight for you, the people. My name is Sheila E. Armstrong, and I am the best candidate for the 2nd Congressional District. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. And you are once again on An Hour with Dave, Usula Media. I am here with my good friend Mike Mia, and I got to tell you, this is the biggest end of my show that I was waiting for, was to get my friend to get his predictions and find out how he feels about this election that's here, because hold on to your seats. This is going to be fun on this one. Mike?
Well, David, this election year really is chaos, to tell you the truth.
Are we going to start with the local and work our way up, or are you working your way
wherever
back?
you want to start, even local. Okay, it's amazing to me. I know Democratic legislators who they go to Harrisburg and they're not welcomed by their progressive others. Okay, because my God, somebody's right to life. Okay, that's the end of the story for some people. Okay, but you know, there's a whole challenge to the Democratic City Committee in that you see that Maria Donatucci and Mary Isaacson and Senator Farnese have progressive challengers, okay, because they're not progressive enough. Okay, I don't know what they want out of people. Farnese I've known for some time, and while I'm not particularly close to him, I respect what he does. Okay, and you know, trying to bring back things to Philadelphia is a challenge, because understand this: the rest of the state hates Philadelphia. Okay, and the reality here is, you know, every legislator and every senator is going up there to try to bring home the bacon. Well, you know, there's 50 senators and 203 state representatives. They're all trying to bring home the bacon. There's not that much bacon.
What's your feel for some of the campaigns that are going out here now? I mean, obviously I got mines, but you got Drew's.
Okay, well, but I think Drew
Murray.
I wanted him to do well. In fact, I appeared in this studio with Drew. He had a show here.
Okay? Great guy. Has.
Right. Okay. Well, that was at that time, okay? And I was happy to be part of it, and I wish him well. But I'm just going to tell you, demographically, that district that he's in is a challenge, okay? And when I say a challenge, you know, for a Republican, and, you know, some of the issues that went on down there with Brian Sims and what he was treating, you know, berating women for being pro-life. I just don't know how you get that upset about it. Okay, well, I'm not you know, I think a woman should be able to decide what they're going to do. The unfortunate thing is, you know, I'm not an abortion person, but I'd rather have there be retroactive abortions. You know, that person should have been aborted. Okay, but, you know, it's not like, you know, David, I really want you to do well. You know, when I think about 2018 and that whole thing, you're talking about that they changed the entire congressional map in Pennsylvania in January.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you had to get petitions and get them in, and really with all that disparate thing, there you got 21% of the vote or 22% of the vote. I wish, but my thing is we want to get to 50.1. Okay, and I want to give you some opportunities. And believe it or not, I've been promoting your campaign since actually 2018, because after you lost in 2018, I went up to Pennsylvania Society and was speaking to congressional people about how we could find you a little bit of basket of money to do some things in your community. Okay, so.
Well, I think I'll tell you the truth. And one of the things I talked to Martina about is that we need to get involved in the community some more.
Right.
We have to get involved in the community. The community needs us. Let's move a little bit and let's talk about the presidential.
Well, but David, again,
I wish
chaos.
people could see you now because you knew this one was coming.
Was chaos, okay? And this whole thing about I'm not a real pollster guy, okay? But all of a sudden, the Democratic National Committee decided polls should decide everything. Honestly, I've known fraudulent pollsters.
Yeah.
Years ago, I did pollsters for Gallup because my father took polls, whether or not he was going to support Frank Rizzo back in 1987. And in 86, we're out taking polls, okay? And we're, walking on the streets, and we had to go get demographically and all that, and women and age groups. We used to basically do the 34th Ward out West Philadelphia and start at City Line Avenue and go down Haverford Avenue because you had a Jewish community, an Irish community, an Italian community, and then a black community. Okay, and, the polling that I remember is, asking people, who you're going to vote for for election if the election was held today. And the interesting thing was the last person, I had a young lady who said, I said, who are you going to vote for? And she said, Wilson Good. I said, well, why are you going to vote for him? Because I voted for him last time. How old are you? She was 18 at the time. That meant she voted at 14. So
all right, well let's get the big prediction here. Who do you think on a Democratic ticket is going to be there at the end?
Well, whether or not, and is the whole supposed to be this consolidation to Joe Biden? Well, with all due respect,
Do you think he's going to get it?
Well, I think it's just that the Democratic Party can see
rigged.
Can see the Democratic Party going down the drain, okay, because of this, and and why do I say that? Because you look at what's going on in this world, and you talk about mistreatment of women, okay, it's everywhere, okay, it's in law firms, it's in media, the whole thing with Matt Lauer having a button under his desk to lock women into his office. That was outrageous.
So, which I'm trying to get him to give us one guy, but he's giving me a hard time here. Who do you think of the Democrat ticket is going to be going against the big Trump?
Well, I think they're trying to slant it in favor of Biden, but I just know about all the issues in Biden's life. In fact, I had brunch 2 weeks ago with a guy who was the trustee in the case of James Biden's bankruptcy. Okay, so you just can't make some of this shit up, David. Okay.
So you think it's going to be Biden?
Well, I think that the Democrats don't want to see a whole thing going down. But when you think that for the last 3.5 years, I was fortunate to go to the inauguration back in 2017. I got tickets by asking Democrats for the tickets because the Republicans wouldn't give them to me. Okay, so, but I went down there, okay, and it was very historic. But that fight, they were calling for impeachment back on January 20th, 2017.
Yeah, that's a shame. All right, so you guys are hearing it from the man himself. You're saying it's going to be Biden and Trump.
Yes, I think that's what they want. I just don't know, what could blow up the train is what I'm saying, David. So.
Yeah. So you, my friend, it's great to have you here. It's been a pleasure. I miss spending time with you. Maybe we can get you back after the elections are over, and you could say, "I told you so."
Well,
You really the end. You want to end it with Trump's going to win again, right?
Well, I'm trying. To me, I think he's going to be okay because I think he's done so many things right. So.